In America, we're taught that the whole idea of a king is, well, it's ancient history, right? Something we specifically declared independence from. But here we are, almost 250 years later, and the question is kind of still hanging in the air. Has the United States, in its own way, ended up crowning a new kind of monarch anyway? Let's dig into that by looking at some really fascinating and often competing perspectives. And really, it all kicks off with this idea. This quote from filmmaker Ken Burns just perfectly frames the entire American experiment. The whole promise, the foundation of the country, was crystal clear. Power, the ultimate power, belongs to the people, not to some monarch. It was a complete, radical break from thousands of years of history. Okay, so fast forward to today. The founders made it very clear. No king. But power is a funny thing. It doesn't just vanish. It shifts, it transforms, it finds a new home. So who's really holding the scepter in America now? Is it the person sitting in the Oval Office? Or is it something or someone else entirely? To figure this out, we've got to ask, where do we even start looking for this modern-day crown? Is it actually on the president's head? Is it hiding in the bank accounts of the super wealthy? Or is it somewhere we might not even think to look? Let's check out the leading theories. Well, when you dig into it, the debate over who really runs the show in America basically boils down to three main theories. First, some people will tell you that money is the real king. Then you've got others who point to the massive, permanent machinery of government, what we call the bureaucracy. And finally, there's the group that insists that, at the end of the day, the power is still and always has been with the people. Let's take that first one. Senator Elizabeth Warren puts it pretty bluntly. She argues that, yeah, the president has a lot of symbolic power, but the real influence, the kind that shapes laws and decides who wins and who loses, comes from big money. When huge corporations and wealthy donors can steer the entire political conversation, they're basically the new royalty, the ones pulling the strings behind the curtain. But wait a second. Commentator Ben Shapiro offers a totally different take. He says the true monarch isn't elected at all. It's the huge, unelected administrative state. Think about all the powerful government agencies that create the rules we live by, from the EPA to the IRS. Presidents serve 4, maybe 8 years. But these agencies, they're the permanent government, holding a quiet, steady power that voters often can't touch. And that brings us to our third big idea, and this one comes from Senator Cory Booker. He basically turns the question right back around to us, the citizens. In his view, that throne of power only becomes empty for money or bureaucracy to take over when the people check out, when they don't engage. So, according to him, the power is still with the people, but it's a use it or lose it kind of deal. Okay, so if the people really are the sovereigns, how do they make their voices heard? Well, one of the most powerful ways is through protest. But this brings up a huge paradox, a real head-scratcher. Is protest a sign that democracy is working, or a sign that it's breaking apart? And man, the two sides of this are worlds apart. On one hand, you have folks like Warren and Booker who see protest as democracy in motion. It's the safety valve, the guardrail that keeps power in check. It's a right that, let's be honest, kings would never allow. But then, on the other side, you have thinkers like Ted Cruz and Ben Shapiro, who warned that all this protest can be corrosive. It can eat away at trust in our institutions and lead to a dangerous place where no one accepts the outcome of an election. So this is the million-dollar question, right? When a country is this divided on issues this fundamental, from who even holds the power to whether protest is good or bad, how does a republic even survive without just completely coming apart? It really feels like the whole country is walking this incredible tightrope. We're trying to balance the need for unity on one side with a fundamental right to dissent on the other. So how can we honor that right to rebel without letting everything fall apart? The discussion actually points to a few possible ways forward. So, what are the solutions on the table? Well, a bunch of different ideas came up. You have Ben Shapiro's idea. Change the culture. See the people you disagree with as wrong, sure, but not as evil. Elizabeth Warren argues that today's messy dissent can actually create a stronger, more just unity down the road. Cory Booker adds that we have to dissent without dehumanizing the other side. Nikki Haley says we need to rebuild trust in our core institutions, like the courts and the press. And Ted Cruz makes the point that we have to stop automatically treating every election we don't win as illegitimate. Okay, so we've looked at all this tension. Who has the power? Is protest good or bad? How do we stay united? And it leads to this really powerful final thought. Maybe, just maybe, we've been asking the wrong question the whole time by looking for a king. And that's where this incredible insight from historian Doris Kearns Goodwin comes in. She says the ultimate power in America isn't a crown that gets passed from one person to the next. It's a covenant. It's like a pact, a shared promise that we all make to each other to figure this thing out together. It's a collective responsibility we all share, not some singular power held by one person. And that's where this leaves us. The founders did their part. They got rid of the throne, but the space they created was never supposed to stay empty. The real project of America is that empty space. It's about deciding what we build to fill it. That covenant isn't just some dusty old document. It's a living question that gets asked of every single one of us in every generation. So the final question isn't about them. It's about you. What are you going to build in that king's place?